If you've done BRR training and BRR deal sourcing training and you need this video, then you were in the same position as me when I done this first BRR, right? That's why I made loads of mistakes, because there were so many gaps in my knowledge. It's that bloody simple, yeah? The absolute bottom line to BRR projects is to increase the value. You buy something that's below market value, you refurb it, and you get the best valuation possible. So this next thing that I'm going to talk about is something that I think most people are not taught and most people are doing wrong, right? And it's the most important bit. How do you get the most value from your property? It's very simple. The value is based on the floor space, right? Number one. And if you can increase bedrooms with the floor space that you've got, without extending. Obviously, if you're extending, then, you know, it goes without saying. So look at my BRR project, right? And this is something that I love. I absolutely love, and I think it's my favourite part of the whole process because I'm a remote property investor. I live in an area where BRR is not possible, so I need to do this so I don't travel down for 1 million viewings and literally make no money, because that's what's going to happen. If you go to a viewing all the time and it's 1 in 30 BRR deals that you get, okay? So to put it in perspective, I look at the floor plan, I love it. I like going, right, how can I use my imagination? If I told you to do the analysis of this property, and this is the reason I got this property so cheap, then you would have done it on a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom analysis. So you would have found comparables for 2-bed, 1-baths, right? That's why I didn't have much competition, because I looked at the floor plan and went, holy shit, look at the size of that bathroom. It's bigger than the master bedroom, right? So I'm going to bring up my drawing app and I'm going to tell you what we did to increase the value. We put an extra extended corridor down here. We made this into a shower room with a bath and a sink. We then made another corridor here like that, and then the door going outwards. This is now bedroom number 3. So the analysis and the comparables you wanted to be looking at were for a 3-bedroom, and not a 3-bed, 1-bath. We also added a 2nd bathroom. So downstairs in this dining room, we built a wall like this, and then we put a bath here, a toilet, a sink. So we moved because there was a bedroom basically here in this reception room, and we moved all the bedrooms upstairs. So it's now 3 bedrooms upstairs with a shower kind of bathroom, and then a full family size bathroom downstairs, and then this carried on here, right here where the D is, as the dining room. Now I said to my builder, right, I don't want the bloody downstairs bathroom connected to the dining room. That isn't the done thing where I live anyway. But in the area I was in, apparently it was no big deal. It wouldn't affect the valuation. So the analysis that people were doing were on the wrong type of property, because there was the potential to convert this into a much bigger, like a more valuable asset, right? And another thing I want to bring up is the loft. Now, floor plans are your best friend, but they also incredibly misleading. If anything's done by the estate agent, then it is take that with the biggest pinch of salt that you've got in your life. In fact, the full bag of it, right? Because floor plans like this one, and I'm going to show you how, is BS. Right, so one thing they've got right is that this is a loft room. They often call this bedroom of level number 3, and they might call that bedroom number 3. That always happens, I always see it. But because this staircase, which looks like it's the correct proportions right in this BS floor plan, looks like a normal floor staircase. It's not, right? It was extremely steep, extremely narrow. It doesn't pass the building regs. And the biggest thing with loft rooms is actually the beams underneath. If somebody's just extended or just put a loft in there, then the beams that you use in your loft are not the same ones below your first floor, yeah? They're much thinner. So the cost of replacing all them, plus the staircase, plus the head height, and then you need a window. This did have a window, but that's the only thing it did have. Everything else was not worth the cost of converting this into an extra livable, an extra bedroom that would be counted in the valuation. That being said, I'm going to get onto that loft later on and how we got a high valuation with it. Another thing that's bullshit about the this floor plan is that it says that this kitchen's here. This kitchen is this photo right here. Pardon this, right? So basically, this is outside. That's the alleyway. And if you go back to the front of the house, if you look over here on the side, then right there is where the alleyway is. And right there is where that starts. We happen to put an extra door in there. We've got a second-hand door, looks really good. But this is an alleyway, that's where the kitchen was. That's why the property was unmortgageable. Okay, so if we go back to that floor plan, it's showing that the kitchen is like there and it's all good. Like, and it's rubbish, like it's not. That's an alleyway. So we kept the alleyway. It would have cost more to get rid of it. We tied it up. Again, I'll show you that in a minute. It looks mint. And we had to move the kitchen inside in that case. So we put the kitchen into this reception room and it looks really good. I'm going to talk about something which is my pet hate with all building work. And I used to help build the big skyscrapers in London, yeah, so I've seen it all go wrong in the past. And there's one thing which I personally dislike with all types of building work, and it is relevant to us moving that kitchen.